Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your Hurricane Pro and HD video blog for Wednesday, the 25th of September 2013. Take a look here at the wide shot of the Atlantic Basin. A couple of interesting things to point out. We have low pressure here in the Big Bend area of Florida, and another surface low out here over the southwest Atlantic. This is going to cross pretty close to Bermuda, so you folks in Bermuda going to have some squally weather here over the next couple of days as this system, non-tropical in nature, technically speaking, it's not a tropical cyclone or anything, but it is over some pretty warm water out here, and it does have a pretty good band of convection right here, and this entire little storm will be moving through your area in Bermuda over the next day or so, so just keep that in mind. Also, we'll be watching this batch of energy out in the Atlantic. We still have tropical waves coming off of Africa, moving westward. They're not developing out here, of course, but I think that this area will be the place to watch as we get into October. No surprise there. Climatologically, that's what we would expect, and I think that's where we're going to have to start looking as we get into the month, especially after about the first week. This is what's left of what was 95L. Now just a diminished swirl of very, very weak low pressure. Nothing to worry about at all. Looking at the model guidance going out into time here, 24 hours out, this is the midday run from the morning initialization of the GFS, Global Forecast System. There's that one storm I was telling you about that's going to pass pretty close to Bermuda there over the next 24 hours. This map valid tomorrow morning at about 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Looking out ahead to 48 hours into time, there's that storm system kind of getting stretched out. Let's get the graphic centered. Getting stretched out, the energy pulled out to sea away from Bermuda and the United States. Then we have this other low pressure that tries to develop. This is the one that the Euro was showing as developing, coming out, and then maybe coming up towards the east coast. Similar in fashion in terms of the track only to what Sandy did with that turn back to the coast. But even the Euro, the ECMWF model, has not abandoned that idea. It's just modified over time. Remember, this is just guidance, computer guidance, and the further out in time you go, the less reliable they are. And so there's always tweaking going on. So this is 48 hours out. This will be valid on Friday morning. If we're going out to 72 hours, this will be on Saturday morning. The low pressure area trying to take shape here to the northeast of the Bahamas, as another very nice large area of high pressure comes down out of New England and Canada, settling in over the northwest Atlantic. By day 4 here, this will be valid next Sunday, this coming Sunday morning. Pretty good area of low pressure there near Bermuda again, so kind of an inclement weather pattern off and on for folks in Bermuda. Pretty stiff northeast wind along the coast of North Carolina, South Carolina, the tidewater of Virginia, as strong high pressure to the north, coupled with this low pressure area to its south, the south of the high. You get this squeeze play going on, this pressure gradient as we call it. So there'll be a buildup of surf, great for you surfers out there, but a pretty stiff northeast wind, making for a cool and breezy weekend and early part of next week. Going out to day 5, this will be valid on Monday morning of next week. Pretty good looking low pressure area, meteorologically speaking, fairly healthy looking. Maybe a subtropical storm, though when I see this sort of look to it right here, has the look of a front. In fact, if we look at the 850 millibar chart, or about 5,000 feet in the atmosphere at the vorticity, we see that it is bundled pretty nicely there in a circular fashion. So maybe, just maybe, this will become a subtropical storm, or if it's defined enough where the energy is concentrated enough around a center, a warm center, then maybe it'll be a tropical storm. And if so, the name would be Jerry. Interest in southeast parts of New England and then the Canadian Maritimes up here are going to want to watch this as it goes on by around the backside of this high pressure area out here over the Atlantic. But it does not look like a very big deal. nothing to really be concerned with, but just something to watch. Now, I do want to point something out as we go out into time. This is the GFS at about 2 weeks out or so. Now, that's a long way out, and I'm just pointing out how the pattern as we get into October, this is valid on the 10th, and we see a very well-developed tropical cyclone tucked away in the northwest Caribbean Sea. That goes right into the climatology that we talk about. Then when we get into October, and then right around the 10th or so, there's that secondary peak that we see. And there are also other little impulses that are coming across the Atlantic from Africa that will not develop out here more than likely. Instead, that energy just starts to pile up in the western Caribbean Sea. This is what it looks like on a surface map, by the way, 360 hours out. There it is, pretty well-defined low-pressure area for that far out in model time. So just something to keep in mind, that the hurricane season is not over until it's over. We have been very fortunate in the United States to have very little impact this year, but just, especially folks along the Gulf Coast and Florida, where Caribbean systems can affect the most, the hurricane season isn't over until we get frost on the pumpkins, so to speak. And that's still a ways away. So we have several weeks to go. And October is typically a busy month with 1 or 2 hurricanes that develop over climatological history. So just something to keep in mind, nothing more. Well, that is it for me for today. Have a good rest of your Wednesday. Thanks for tuning in to today's video blog. Again, I'm Mark Sudduth. HurricaneTrack.com is my site. Always an honor to do these videos for you. Hope you learned something from it, and I'll be back with more info for you tomorrow.